Ah, that time was far. Okay, I'm finally getting the hang of yes this whole thing. How you doing, Shannon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
I'm
So,
not bad. I'm getting geared up to work tomorrow.
oh,
So I'm
oh,
coming your way.
oh, you're
Tucson.
off. So you're off to Arizona, huh?
I'm going to Tucson tomorrow. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. Okay. Kristen Melinda's having a little bit of connection issues, so
Okay.
she's just going. She might try her phone. Yeah.
Are
She.
we
I
live?
mean,
Are we on?
yes. We're
Oh,
live.
I didn't know. Oh, hello. Can't think of a better name. Seventh Son. Body
Yes.
Illusion.
Oh yeah.
Welcome,
Can't think of a
everybody.
body illusion. Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
not
Can't.
just talking amongst ourselves, like we can't talk
I'm
dirty
sorry.
or anything.
I should have given you a better
Okay. I'll
more
have
of a
to
warning.
behave. I'll behave. I'll behave.
But yeah, that was it. Was we just came from a stream from needing a meeting. Carol's doing really well. She's getting used to her new job, so yeah, it was really good to see that. Yeah, she's doing so much better. So while we wait for Kristen Melinda, I'm sorry,
The mighty.
yes, I have to say mighty. I can't really. Yes, she's on tour right now. She's in Texas. She's been on her Texas leg of her world tour for how many years now? A few years. So, yes, she's
Well, I
a.
have to. I'm going to be hopping there first before I hop on to Arizona. So
Yes, keep forgetting what that must be like to deal with. Is it still fun?
I'm not sure it was ever fun, honestly. Um, you know what? The layovers are fun. Going
Really?
places is fun.
Uh-huh.
Sure. I mean, I've gotten to go to so many different places that I never would have seen or been to. I do
Mhm.
have fun on the layovers. Sometimes they get lonely if you don't have a crew member that wants to hang out with you, because usually you're working with strangers, and there is the mighty Kristen Melinda.
Yes. Yes. The. Oh my gosh. Yes. She managed to get home and everything. How you doing this fine day, Chris and Melinda?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I
Good to
think I
So
have
see
a little bit
you.
of delay. My connection is
okay.
not awesome. It started freaking out
Yes.
right around 4 o'clock. Uh, so I got my Ethernet and everything. Hopefully, it cooperates with me.
Well, not we can. If not, we can always do it some other time. But I've always wanted to know what age was it you, mighty Kristen Melinda? What age was it you were at when you suddenly the heavens opened up and you, oh, I want to be a therapist? What point in time did that occur to you?
Hmm. My first ideas I had about it were probably around age 16 or so. I had my
Wow.
Wow.
experience with my own first therapist who was a good therapist. The first one I saw was not good. But later on,
Hmm.
I saw one of my own as an angsty teenager who was actually really good.
Hmm.
And I really liked her, and that was kind of inspiring. And I thought, what a huge difference it is that it can make between a decent therapist and a not decent therapist. But I kind of set it aside for a few years and then went to community college after high school. I was really into theater. I thought I would do that. And then I realized, you know what? There's so much competition. There's a lot of toxicity in show business. I would rather help people get out of toxic situations. So that led me back to my love of psychology and counseling. And that's how I ended up doing what I do.
So
Short story
that's. I mean,
short version.
Well, first of all, I find it interesting that you had an experience, interesting and actually reassuring that you had an experience with a bad counselor, because
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's something that would be important, because you know what a bad, that you know what you don't want to be, kind of thing. But you were back.
Oh
That would have
yeah.
been back in high school for you. So
Yeah.
I
My
mean,
yeah.
what kind of student were you in high school?
I was generally a pretty good student. I like academically, like I did pretty well. Um, I struggled in math. Math was never my strong subject. If I paid attention and I stayed caught up, I could do okay. But if I got really, really behind in it, then I would suffer greatly. And I actually had to retake algebra in what was it? I think 10th grade because of that. I had to retake it in summer because of that. I just got behind and I was shy to ask for help. So I'll just keep going along, and
Oh,
that didn't work out well for me. So academically, I was a decent student. I I was kind of a people pleaser for sure. So when it came to
oh,
making friends, sometimes I was more focused on taking care of everyone else around me, later in life, things like that. But I didn't get in a whole lot of trouble or anything like that. If I did do anything questionable, I found ways not to get caught. So
yeah. So that's where
That's smart. That's
yes, and that's yeah. A lot of people don't realize this about Kristen Melinda. She learned the Jedi mind tricks really early on. Yes, I have it on good authority. I mean, it's not like I'm just making this up. Come on. So you figured out you wanted to do that back in high school. I have to know, you were you ever a member of the because you were interested in theater? Were you ever a member of the Glee Club or any of those
I did
groups? A
choir.
cheerleader, perhaps? You did choir. Okay.
Yeah, I did
I don't.
choir,
I have
and
nowhere to
what
go with
was
that.
it? So I sang
that
um,
that's
in
why.
school. That is,
Love
I got
Shack.
really involved in a lot of
Love
activities.
Shack, right?
Okay, it's starting to gel together for me, like McDonald's cheeseburger. It sits in your gut, and it kind of. But anyhow, but it's really okay. Now I'm starting to see where. This is where I learned to sing in pitch. Ben Turner can't sing in pitch. Yeah. Okay, so that's where it's come from. I got it. Okay, it was. So we see the truth comes out that it was
I don't
all a
always
plot.
sing in pitch.
Well into your high school age, you were already working on this. Okay, I got it. Okay, so rewritten that. That's now officially a historic fact. Um, so what? I mean, how was your entrance going to college? I mean, was it a scary thing for you, or was it pretty much what you expected? Did you find it easy?
Rick Spicer, hello.
I'm so sorry that my sound like it cut out. I think my connection got weird for a second. Could you
Oh,
repeat the last thing you asked?
okay.
Got robot
Sure,
body.
sure thing. Oh boy. Okay. How was going into college? How would was that a big major eye opener for you? Did you get involved in party culture much, or did you find it all to be incredibly
A little bit.
easy? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Aha! You found college to be easy?
Me too.
Oh, not. I
I
meant
found
I got
college
into
was easier
partying
than
a little bit.
school.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
a little bit. Okay. So there we have it. We've established another historic fact. Krista Melinda was a party animal. Okay. So, I'm sorry. No, I'm
I
not.
didn't say it.
Um,
I mean, when I did party, I enjoyed myself. I didn't always party.
mm,
It depended. Like some I would go through
yeah.
phases where, head down and just focus on my schoolwork, and I was very like introverted and focused on that, and then I would go through.
Oh,
I just wanted lots of fun, and then I would come back and catch up on all the schoolwork. So that's kind of how it would go.
that's interesting. But you're an extrovert now, aren't you?
I don't really consider myself an extrovert. I don't.
Hmm.
I mean, I get some of my like when I think about it, like extrovert and introvert, it's just where you recharge. Like it's
Yeah.
just what
Yeah.
you get your energy levels from. It's like not do all
Yeah.
the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I do need a little bit of alone time. I do need a little bit of downtime.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Okay.
but I do get a lot out of connections with people too. Like that's why I wasn't doing well
Yeah.
in my previous job, from home for corporate because I never did
Hmm.
with people. I never got to talk to people in person.
Yeah.
And I missed that.
Well, yeah, man. That was the reason why I just assumed that you were an extrovert. Is dealing with people. It seems like I don't know, but it seems like dealing on a deep level with people for an introvert. It seems like that might be possibly a little draining, but maybe I'm oversimplifying it tremendously. So after college, did you go into one-on-one therapy, or did you work for a therapy? Did you do like an aid type thing? Was there any of that, or was it straight into practice?
Oh, it was a pretty lengthy process. When I was getting my master's degree in counseling psychology, part of that is you do a practicum, which is kind of like an internship where you're actually working as a counselor, as a therapist, but you're still getting your master's degree and somebody fully supervises you and all that. So my second year of my master's degree, I did a year of practicum in a federal women's prison. So I did individual counseling there. I did group counseling there. So I worked there for a year. I think I lost sound on you guys. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay.
You able to
Okay,
hear
great.
us? Oh, okay. Um,
Yes,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can now. I think there's just a delay in my picture.
Maybe it's okay. Yeah, maybe it's Microsoft too. Maybe we're still feeling the effects of that lovely bomb that they decided to drop on us. Okay, so you had almost like a
Possible.
mini res. So you had like a mini residency of a sort. I did not realize
Kind
that.
of.
I mean, I guess that would be, yeah. Doing
So that was the first
Wow,
person that called me their therapist was a lady inmate at a federal women's prison.
wow, man, isn't that a bit rough to go from? I mean, that seems like that would be a major shift to go from school straight to a hardcore. I mean, that sounds pretty. Yeah, that sounds hardcore to go straight to prison. Not that
Yes,
you were in prison, but you know what I mean.
it does.
Counseling.
That seems like a rough job.
Yeah,
My mother enjoyed
yeah,
making the
no,
Was
no,
it?
joke. My mother enjoyed making that joke. She enjoyed saying like, "Oh yeah, Kristen's been in prison for a year."
How
She would
was that? Was that hard for
correct
you?
it. Um,
Was that
I
a hard
mean,
job?
like
Oh, I
like
have to say
like so it
this.
was my
My
first experience as a
Lord,
counselor,
Lord
so I
Kiss.
didn't know any different. Hi, Lord Kiss Freak.
Okay.
Hi, everybody in the chat who I
We
haven't
love
seen
Lord Kiss
or I
Freak.
haven't said hello to.
I know. We haven't seen him in a long time.
So I mean, so you started doing that. Did you go in then into a private practice after
So
your
I worked there for a
residency, or
year.
what do you want to call it?
Yeah, in terms of like if it was rough, I don't know, like that you are in a prison and that I have to wait for my supervisor to come down and lock me in, and that like, and it's not like they gave me keys, right? Like I had to walk with her up to the psychology building every day, and I had my little area that I was in, but like if I wanted to leave, whenever wanted to leave at the end of the day, she had to come get me and walk. You believe I kept an eye on where she was. But I don't know, like once you get past the thought about like, things are locked and stuff like that, it's just people, honestly. People are people, no matter where they are. Almost like the vast majority of women in the federal women's prison I worked at were there for some kind of drug charge, something related to drugs, or something related to obtaining drugs, obtaining funds to get drugs. So that checks out. Being a medical center is a different kind of federal prison. So it's like a specialty facility where they would send women from all over the country who might have some kind of specific medical, physical disability, or mental health condition that needed specialized treatment. So I mostly worked with the drug abuse treatment program for the most part. But after that, and I did assessment there too. So like psych testing, like IQ tests, stuff like that. After that, when I graduated, my first full-time job was in community behavioral health care. So this was like a clinic that was mostly folks coming out of the hospital or going into the hospital, a lot of folks coming out of prison, folks that didn't have health insurance. It's community behavioral health care. So if you have no other resources, that's where you go. I worked there for a couple of years. I got shoved into a wall there. Nobody ever shoved me into a wall in the women's prison, just saying. I don't know.
Well, I was wondering, was it a woman that shoved you into a wall or a man?
But she wasn't mad at me specifically. Okay. She was leaving her doctor's appointment from the psychiatrist. She was upset because the psychiatrist would not write her prescription she wanted for more benzos. And I happened to be in her pathway. So that was actually my first Friday I worked there. And I have a screw loose because I thought, this is the job for me. I'll stay here in 2 years.
Wow. So was there anything challenging about working in a prison aside from, of course, the physical security that was completely unique to prison, or did you just find that, like you said earlier, people are people? I mean, was there anything after you switched out of that you found to be like, oh, thank God I don't have to do that part again?
One thing that I found eye-opening was just the environment. You get out into the world, into the outside, so to speak, and people have a little bit of control over their environment. Even if you have very limited resources, even if you don't have a lot of money, you kind of decide whether you turn the lights off or not most of the time. Unless you're in like a shelter situation, you can decide like if you want to wear jeans or shorts one day. These are all things that you might, as a therapist, recommend to people as coping skills, fabrics that are comfortable, lighting that's comfortable. There's a lot of coping skills that you can't recommend as tools to people in a prison because they don't have the flexibility to decide when to turn the lights off. They can't just put on any old music they want or turn off the TV at any old time they want. There's a lot of environmental things that they just don't have any control. Some of the focus ends up being on, okay, a lot of it working with the ladies there was trying to help them find a way to cope with the environment itself. Like some people went in, already having some mental health challenges, but a lot of people went in and developed mental health challenges, because of trying to adjust to prison, because that in itself is a very difficult thing, even if you didn't come from the greatest situation prior.
Okay. Yeah. That
a quick question about prisons. I have a personal aspect involved in it. My sister was a heroin addict, and she was in and out of jails and prisons for most of her life before she OD'd.
Sorry.
And one of the questions that I had is, well, I visited her at one of the prisons, and there was a woman there, and I looked at the woman, and I can't explain the look in her eyes, but I felt like she didn't have a soul. That was the look in her eyes. And I asked my sister what she was
Wow.
in for. She had killed her sister with a bicycle chain.
Oh my gosh.
I'm wondering if you
Wow.
have ever seen that look in someone's eyes. I obviously can't explain to you what the look was, but I knew it immediately when I saw it. Any point of reference for that?
You know, where I worked, I mainly worked with people in lower security. So, not so many heinous, frightening, violent crimes like that. Although most people are capable of violence if they're put in a terrible enough situation. That's a little bit different. There was a high security section since it's a medical center. Um, there were some people there that did pretty heinous things. But the people that I met there, you wouldn't have known. Like the one lady I can think of, I think probably one of the worst stories was I think she killed a pregnant woman and she cut the baby out of her, which I'm sorry, I should have given a trigger warning for
Oh,
that. But when she did it, she was not well mentally. She delusional, like severely, like legitimately mentally ill, not like trying to get away. So I haven't seen what you're talking about like that, not in the context of the women's prison I worked at. The people that I worked with, it was either coming back from, severe drug abuse or severe mental illness. And most of the time the people that I met, when they were well, they did express remorse or even embarrassment in some cases over things that they had done. But that's just my small experience. I was only there 1 year. You know.
well, I only visited her the one time, and it honestly it just scared me. It scared me to see
Yeah.
that look in a human being's eyes. It just scared me. So
Yeah.
I just wondered
That's
if you had
that's very
experienced.
different.
Light or no? Do
Yes,
you have any of these handy?
we have Lord
I
Kiss
do.
Creek in the audience.
I do.
We all know that
I
Lord
actually
Kiss
haven't
Creek
eaten these
is
in a couple weeks. It's
located.
gonna give me a problem.
Oh my gosh. Mm. Oh my gosh.
I guess we'll be
Oh,
talking, because then we'll be able to.
oh my gosh.
Well,
Yes.
because Ben and Kristen have to eat peanuts because I'm here. Right now or at a certain time?
Well, I mean, and by the way, you have the best voice, like for
Oh,
broadcasting. Like I think, in my
oh,
opinion, you have a great voice for broadcasting.
thank
Really, I
you.
think it's
That's so
really.
Oh
sweet.
yeah.
I've
I really
always thought
appreciate
that
that.
when I've seen you. Like, wow, she should be
Well,
in
Oh,
radio or TV.
yes.
oh,
Nice
That's
calm
thank
voice.
you. I appreciate that.
Do, oh,
My,
so
okay.
after you got out of after you got out of prison, and yes, I'm writing it up that way. No. But
Lord Kisprick is demanding I eat peanuts, so my voice might change if I do that. It might be less soothing.
ooh, a Rolling Stone. I'm glad you made it.
I'll eat one peanut.
oh,
It's been a
you're
couple
going to do
weeks, so
it?
I'm gonna eat a half a peanut.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to be the only
Yeah.
one talking. I'm going to have to talk to myself because I
No, I
don't
can talk.
have. Okay.
Oh, some of us can talk.
It's hot. I might make a funny face, but I can talk. I might be a little bit more than I was
Well,
before.
Ben doesn't seem to be able to talk, so I
But
Well, Ben probably ate more than I did because it's been a few weeks. Hi, Rolling Stone.
I
Hi to
I
everyone
ate one.
saying hi to.
I ate one in Carol's chat, and I did again just now, and it's been a while. Whew. Oh my
Did
gosh.
you?
So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't think
So
anybody
just to let
noticed.
you guys
Thank
know,
God.
if I'm making funny faces at the wrong time, it's because my picture is not synced up with, like, I think I see your movements like after you say it. So if I'm making funny expressions, let's blame that,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
we
the
got
low
it.
bandwidth problem. Sure. Oh yeah. So after you left prison, or your experience in prison, whew,
It was actually,
oh
it
my,
sounds very,
uh,
very strange, but it was one of my favorite places to work because
Okay, we have one
I felt
question. I
presence
can't think
was
of a better
meaningful.
name. Wants to know what the story of the peanuts is.
what's
Could we
that? Oh,
explain
Oh,
it to her?
and do you want to? Or do you want me
No,
to?
for now. Hello.
okay. There is this really sick, twisted individual that's in. You probably know
Lord
the light. Yeah,
Kissfreak.
because yeah, I've seen you in the lifeboat, so you probably know who Tommy Scoville is. Well, his brother is kind of a deranged individual, really nice guy, but yeah, he's kind of got some issues
Body
going on.
language.
He makes these peanuts.
You'll
They're
be the first
called.
to admit, so.
Yes, he is the
He
first to admit he has
real
issues.
super nice guy, super nice guy. But yeah, every time after you eat one of these, it's like, oh my gosh. So he makes this called a tube of terror, and these
Yeah.
are extremely hot. I mean, I think a jalapeno's 2,000 Scoville heat units, if memory serves. These are around
Yeah, this
13 million. Um,
Oh, that's insane.
I think
so,
one of these
Yes, John.
peanuts is about like eating 3 really hot jalapenos in super quick succession.
yes. And Lord Kissfreak is kind of, he's kind of the patron saint of all things Johnny. At least that's what I'm accusing him of.
He's an
A lot of people don't
instigator.
realize this about Lord Kissfreak, but he has this ability to control people's mind and to talk them into doing
He's
things
an
that they don't want to do.
instigator.
And he's like, "Yes, you must do it." I mean, his messages look simple enough, but there's really a mind control
Nah.
aspect in there. We can call it a confusion statement written in there that a lot of people just can't say no to. So yes, it is all Lord Kissfreak's fault. Um, but yeah, so yeah, Johnny
No, you
Scoville,
can't
Tommy
hypnotize
Scoville,
people
Johnny Scoville,
that
his brother.
don't actually want to be hypnotized.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, that is. Um, okay, but so yeah, after you left that, what did you do then? Did you go into private practice, or was it straight to working for the man, a cog in the machine, feeling like you're nothing more than a gear in the
No, no,
machine that's grinding up people? Not that I'm
no.
biased.
I work.
Thanks, Seventh. Thank you. Yes, I am Shannon.
Worked for 6 months. I worked for almost nothing, ecologist.
Oh my!
I did assessments for him. I admitted the tests and I scored the tests and I wrote up the reports and he had the final say over them. I got paid almost nothing to do that. Minutely paid intern. Then I got a full-time job working in the community mental in Dallas. I worked there about 2.5 years. Then I worked community mental health clinic in a neighboring county for a first one was pretty urban. The second one was a little bit more rural. So still health insurance. A lot of folks that are, homeless or without houses at the time, Medicaid, things like that. So I did that for about 5 years, and I got my full license. You have to do a professional counselor. You have to have a board approved supervisor, and then you have to get 3,000. So that's what I was working those 5 years. And then when I got my full license, I did a little bit of private practice. Yeah. I did a little bit of private practice. I worked in a psychiatry practice for a little while. I worked in another place private practice for a little while. I wanted something with benefits and stability and higher paycheck. And I was looking around for different jobs, had different options. And here comes this interview. They pay really well and they had really good benefits. And so that's how that happened.
Yeah. And I know that you've talked about some of the difficulties in switching out of that environment. Was one of those psychiatrists the one that you learned the magnetic? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. Oh gosh, that alternative therapy that you were talking about that is good for depression or
Transcranial
chemical resistant
stimulation.
Yes, that was it. Thank you for not making me look it up.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, one of the psychiatrists for a little while. She also, yeah.
Could you explain a little bit about that for people who? So I know that we've been talking about a little bit in the chat of how interesting it is. Is there anything?
Yes, I don't know what it is. What is that?
Cool. Well, so I'm not licensed to do that. That's like the psychiatrist. I did counseling and some group counseling in her clinic, but she would also have some patients that did TMS. And it was first developed for treatment-resistant major depression. So, like, if you've tried all the meds and you've tried, therapy, and you're still struggling, it's an option that people would recommend sometimes. And the theory behind it, hi, Carol. The theory behind it is that you have these big magnets that activate certain areas of your brain and gets your, neurotransmitters moving, messages moving more actively and more healthfully in areas of the brain that are implicated in major depression and OCD. I think it's now FDA approved for OCD too. I'll be honest, when I first heard about it, I thought, that sounds ridiculous. But there's some research support behind it. There's enough that Medicaid in Texas will sometimes cover it. Now, you have to jump through a lot of hoops, but sometimes it will. And Medicaid doesn't cover things if there's not a lot of research behind it. So.
Okay. Yeah, that really, the paper I found on it really sounded interesting. Oh, we just lost her. Okay, yeah, we were having connection issues, obviously, but yeah, the paper on that was just absolutely fascinating of how the brain can be affected by magnetic waves and everything. That was Hi, Amena, how you doing? Yes, Chris. Yeah, we do need to give a shout out to Kristen Melinda. Yeah, unfortunately, it was kind of a
Melinda.
Yeah, it's been go figure. Finally, get an interview with Kristen Melinda. You could tell there was obviously some connection issues there, having to wait.
It was hard. The lag time was hard.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, if we can't get her back, I'll have to try this again. It's a little hard to do. It's a little poor Kristen. She did so well though. But yeah, you could tell she definitely had connection.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to Kristen Melinda that she has talked about. I know there's some fascinating stories in there, but yeah, when you don't have good communication,
It
oh
definitely makes it hard. But what
yeah,
do you know about what she was talking about? Do
oh
you
just a little
know
bit. I
just a
mean, just
synopsis for the layperson like me?
well,
Maybe.
it was yeah, and it was just basically what she had gone. Ah, there she is. Okay, hopefully this connection's hopefully it's a little better. I really do apologize. I know
I'm sorry.
we probably
I
picked a
don't think it
horrible
was
day.
you.
We
I don't think
probably
it was you. Can
yeah
you hear me and see me
yeah
okay?
yeah. You're flowing a
Yeah, it's
lot better.
better.
Okay.
It's
I don't
better.
think
Yeah.
it was you guys. I was in the middle of talking and my laptop just like it just shut down on me. So
Oh,
I switched to
Oh,
my phone. So if I'm not saying hi to chat peoples, it's only because I can't see the chat because I'm on my little phone. So I apologize. But I hope y'all can see and hear me a little bit better.
oh,
so
we have a
we do have a
I like
we,
that question. I'll let you
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, well, this would be I would love to hear the mighty Kristen Melinda's
Yes, I
opinion
would
on
too.
this. I'll read it out in case you can't see it, Kristen. Sorry, mighty Kristen. Um, Ben, Ben,
I
is
don't
there?
feel very mighty, Ben, but okay. I'll take it.
Oh,
I'll take it.
oh,
I'll just say
now,
thank you. I'll
yes,
just say thank you.
your aura around you today is what's affecting the communication channels. Is particularly strong today. At least that's my story. And yes, I reject your reality and substitute my own. Um,
Nice.
you might call me
It
delusional,
works for
but
me. Okay.
yeah. Ben, is there an empath test somewhere? I'm asking you because I never heard of Google. um, empath test. That is yes, there is. There's several, as a matter of fact. Um, yeah, and some I will say this, and of course I will yield anything to what Mighty Kristen Melinda says. Um, there's some that obviously are geared more to wanting to sell you something like, yes, you're an empath, so yes,
Good for you, kind of thing.
buy this or buy that. But I found by doing a sampling, just to kind of generally gauge, it could be, yeah, I would try to take a sampling just to kind of get an idea of where you're at, but maybe Krista knows of a better methodology. She uses words like methodology because like she learned all these big words, and some of us slept in English
So
class, and
we do have a question. Was that a yes or a no? Is there a question for an empath test? Is it
Is
yes?
there an empath test? There probably is one that exists somewhere. Whether it's reliable, whether it's
mm,
valid, that's another
um,
question. Um, like there's like if you're looking at like official like IQ tests, psychometrics, things like that, those have to go through a lot of like research validation, data analysis, things like that. That doesn't mean that, some kind of test you find isn't helpful.
mm,
Um, but it's something that would be difficult to measure objectively.
sure,
Because the idea behind being an empath is that you can pick up on other people's feelings. You can pick up
yeah,
on their emotions. You can kind of imagine what it's like to be in their shoes.
mm,
Right?
yeah,
And that's kind of whether a person can do that or not is kind of going to be reliant, I think, on self-report, right? Like there are certain psychometric like tests and things like that that are basically self-report. Like you go through, like there's a statement and you say that's true for me all the time, mostly true, never true. You might answer it this way. So it's probably that kind of test you'll see that is billed as an empath test, and then it might be accurate. I don't know. I don't know of
yeah,
any specific ones
yeah.
that are like data validated or anything. That doesn't mean they're not helpful.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they're more I think the ones I found are more general, and of course, you're also going to have issues with, cognitive empathy versus affective empathy and things like that. Simply being able to relate to somebody because you've gone through an experience like that versus affective empathy of actually being able to pick up on their feelings through whatever device that may be. I mean, maybe
Right,
body
Roland.
language, it might be all sorts of things. So, yeah. Um, so that's interesting. So Mighty
I don't know
Chris,
if you can see it, but my nose is running from the penis.
yeah, Yes, and that
The eyes
too.
watering.
Yes, that's all completely Lord's Kiss Freak's fault.
I blame Lord Kiss Freak, yes, for that.
I don't know. I don't blame him. I consider him to be but it was something I already wanted to do, and I was on the fence. He was like, "Just go ahead and eat it."
Oh, that's
You're
what he
very
wants you to think.
generous.
That
You're
is
very
what
Oh, you
he
think?
wants you to think. It's your idea. Yes. Wheels within wheels. Yes.
I like that.
Well, the best kind of mind control is when you make the person think they thought of it themselves, right? That's the best.
Mm. Yeah, it sounds like we're having a little bit of connection issue, but hopefully it'll get better. Okay, so yeah, so you remarked about a few times of how you left this lucrative, very lucrative job to go back to one on one, and that you seem to find it more rewarding. Do you think that's the case?
Oh gosh,
Well,
yes, immediately. Yeah.
hmm,
When I first, so the job that I did at a health insurance company was still in behavioral health, and I had to have a license to do it. So they hire people with licenses to do this job, and it's called prior authorization or utilization management. Utilization meaning how much people use benefits, they use services, management meaning managing how much gets used, right? Um, like the party line is that providers will overbill and overuse things and keep people in the hospital longer than they need to be able to bill more. And sometimes they do that. Sometimes that's but sometimes it's not. So the Department of UN, like there's certain things that require permission to bill services. Like any inpatient stay, providers gotta basically request permission, like say, hey, here's what's going on with the person. Please let us bill this.
hmm,
They stay alive. Certain other things don't require that. Like basically roll. But my whole department was people that would review those requests. Like again, like you've got your oh,
hmm,
check, it meets task, go collect your bill, etc., etc. And then certain things like, oh, I can't check the boxes because they didn't send me anything. To this MD who also works for the health insurance company, who's then going to send it back to me to say, call me and talk to me about it, and then dance back and forth, which sometimes ultimately ends up
hmm,
so over 7 years of working in that kind of arena, I came to think a lot of it is a convoluted game to delay payments or avoid payments, which creates profit. Health insurance is for profit.
hmm,
That's how they make a profit is by not paying. And sometimes it makes sense not to pay for things, but
hmm. It sounds like we may be the victims of poor. Yeah, yeah. It seems like we may be the victims of a poor bandwidth today.
uh-oh.
Yeah, I wonder if there
No,
isn't like something going on with the network between here and Texas or the web. Pooh. I can say poo.
I'm
I,
having a hard time hearing too.
yeah, that's a shame. Oh man, because I know that was probably a really great. It was probably a super great, um, super great explanation there. Um, let's try again. um, yeah, we're
how is
real.
this?
That is a lot better.
How's
Better.
this?
Oh, it's so much better. What magical switch did you flip?
I turned off the Wi-Fi, so now I'm staying on
Oh, okay.
cellular network.
Okay, that it does seem a bit better. Yeah, it might still be choppy. Let's see here. Who's your favorite band?
Uh, ooh, that one's hard. I like a lot of them.
Just pick a band.
I'm a big Lady Gaga fan. That's not a band, but I like Lady
Yeah.
Gaga.
Interesting eye accessing, going down to the emotional, then going. That's interesting. That is very interesting.
Is this emotional? If I'm looking down and to my left?
Down to your right, it's emotional.
Oh,
Um,
well, this is my left.
yeah, and then you're looking, and then because then you're looking. Okay, how do I answer this? And then
Yeah.
you were up to your what do you call it? Audio center appears to
Well, the
be on
first
this
thing that
place.
pops into my head is Lady Gaga, and then I thought, is everyone going to hate me if I say that?
Well, Rolling Stone says she loves Gaga.
Yay! I've seen her twice in concert.
So,
She's
you ever
weird in a fun way.
you ever get in a heavy rock and roll?
Heavy, how heavy? My first concert was Metallica.
Bye,
Okay,
Rick
okay,
Kaiser.
yeah. Oh ho. So, okay. From this, we can draw a very simple lesson. Kristen Melinda, the mighty Kristen Melinda, has spent time in a mosh pit too. I have it on good authority.
Okay, I have. It wasn't at
Wow.
the Metallica concert though.
Yeah.
That was a smaller like
Oh.
Dallas like show. Uh,
So,
I got out of it before it got too mushy.
so have you been a member of a counterculture?
How counter? Like, what do you qualify as a member of a counter?
Mosh. Um, were you ever? What do you call those guys? Oh, come on, what are those guys called? The vampire people. What are they called? Goth. Have you ever been goth?
Oh, I had friends who were goth, and I kind of always got along with everybody, and I kind of would,
Hmm.
I was in Girl Scouts, but I also had, friends that I hung out who were goth, and I would also go dance at gay clubs on the weekend. I weaved in and out of different circles, I was comfortable with most groups because I was equally uncomfortable with all of them, So,
So, okay. So, Krista Melinda is a goth Girl Scout. Okay.
goth Girl Scout. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I like
Okay.
that. That's a good channel name. Goth Girl Scout.
Did you color your hair black when you did that, the goth? No.
Uh, I didn't go. So I didn't go like full goth. Like I had friends that did. I didn't like dress completely. Like I had a phase where I wanted to dress in all black, and I would do like some of the pants with the buckles and stuff on them, like style. But I didn't dye my hair black. I didn't do like the. I did have a phase where I wanted to like paint everything in my room black, but my
Okay. Yeah, seems like we're seems like it seems like we're still victims of the communication, but hopefully it clears up a little bit. Drama club. Uh, how about yeah? So were you in drama?
Yes, yes. And is my connection okay? Can you hear me?
Interesting. Interesting. Do you would you consider yourself to be an empath? You think, or somebody who has higher amount of empathy than maybe your quote normie?
I go back and forth on it. I
Hmm.
think so. I mean, I do pick up on moods really easily, and I do pick up on like people's expressions, and I work hard to make people around me comfortable. I think sometimes without even meaning to, right? Um,
Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
not. I'm probably not as sensitive as some people I know, but
Hmm.
it is something I pick up on. And I'm better at it if I'm in a one-on-one situation. Like if
Sure.
it's a big, like if it's a crowd or a big group of people, I can get kind of like overloaded with information. Like I do
Yeah.
better with one-on-one, smaller groups at the
Hmm.
beginning.
Yeah. That
So
that.
I don't know. I think maybe.
Hmm. Sure.
I'll give you a solid maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the issue I ran into was at least for myself. I tested myself. I whatever test and I don't know how accurate those tests out on the web are. I mean, you know, it's a complete unknown. But I usually test really high. But everybody may test high for all I know. I mean, um, but yeah, I do identify reading a lot on the empathy thing. I do identify a lot with the
I do too. Yeah,
problems that they
Yeah, I was going
have.
to ask
Where
Shannon, what about you? You
I
feel like
do
you
too.
pick up on other people's stuff?
I mean, I have never taken a test. I don't need to take a test.
yeah,
I know how I feel. I know that I
yeah,
pick up on others' emotions.
yeah,
So to me, it's pretty obvious. And, and I have been involved with a few narcissists that, and of course, undiagnosed narcissists. But, the whole love bombing and the whole, just sucking me dry and then when they have you. And yeah, gone through the whole manipulation. And from what I understand, narcissists seem to like to feed off of empaths. Now, whether these things are actually true or just things that I've read about online, I'm not sure.
mm,
What's your impression of that?
Well, narcissistic personality disorders, that definitely exists. Um, that's established.
mm,
I've met people who've been diagnosed with that, and um, I agree that it was valid. You know, it's hard to do research on though because most of the time, if that's the main issue, most of the time they don't come to therapy. Like most of the time they don't
mm.
feel like there's a problem with them.
Yeah,
Oh,
Depending
the
depending on
problem's never them. But
yeah,
yeah.
the one person that I met who like had been diagnosed and it was confirmed was in women's circles. So like I don't know that they would have presented for therapy or assessment on their own.
mm,
Um, but I do like there are people that that don't feel empathy or attachment
mm,
to others in the same way
yeah,
that maybe most of the population might. And I do find all of that pretty fascinating that can exist as a variation in human beings. Like different people get born with different traits, right? And having a lot of empathy or none or somewhere in the middle, that's a different trait, right? So like if nature passes on that gene, it's like trying to figure out what helps us all survive, right? So
Mhm.
I find that I mean it's terrifying and awful if you end up in a close relationship and you experience abuse. That's awful. But then on another angle, from another side of it, I wonder how like how do you exist in the world? Like
mm,
how how did nature decide to make you?
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. I think if I understand, yeah. So we just worked. It was at your right side. So let's try something on the left. Do you know any words other than "Love Shack Baby" that occur in that song? Yeah, so she goes audio accessing up to her. Yep, there it is, right there.
Rusty. The word
Okay.
rusty is in there.
Yes.
Love Shack, baby. I think that's most
Bang,
of the
bang.
bang bang on the door, baby. Yeah, yeah, that's part of it.
Bang.
On
for
the
people,
door.
for people, for people who don't know what usually happens, and this is not a steadfast rule. What you'll have with a lot of people, and sometimes it can be reversed. I've noticed, especially with a lot of people who are big in art. You will typically have a place like if you, Kristen, can you remember the color of the house that you grew up in?
It was gray brick, beige.
Okay. How about your neighbor's house to the right? If you were facing your house, the one to the right.
It was darker, kind of reddish, purplish brick.
Okay, that one. Yeah, she's not playing ball. Usually, what people do, because
He's not
Which
cooperating at
yeah,
direction?
all.
she's
Am I
very
supposed to
tricksy.
look a certain way?
She's very tricksy like that. But usually, people, if you ask them that, they will their eyes will go up, and what you're doing is you're accessing part of your brain where images are stored. A lot of times you'll look up and right for images, up and left for
Yeah.
remembered sound. Now that's what I'm basically trying to profile Kristen Melinda.
Well, if I
But
can access a memory really easily, like if it's something I have easy to get to, then I've kind of trained myself to listen while we talk. That's
Okay.
what a therapist does. I look at you,
Oh,
you
interesting.
know. So if it's a memory I can access pretty easily, probably I'm going to keep looking at you. If it's something I really have
Thanks
to
for
think about what I want to say. Sorry?
I'm sorry. I was just saying goodbye to Lord Kiss Freak.
Oh, bye, Lord. I'm sorry, I can't see the chat. I'm not ignoring.
Yeah. I have to
But if it
see. Oh, I have to run. I have to call my daughter. I'll be back if you're still on. Interesting. Okay.
later, Lord Kiss, instigator.
Yeah.
Oh, and bye, Jimena, also. Thank you.
Bye, Jimena.
Yeah. 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 And of course, Amanda. Yeah. I won't say any more on that. But so do you? This is kind of interesting. It is really fascinating because I do love to kind of give Kristen different things, but she has such a wealth of information available to her. At the same time, it's like I kind of don't want to. So, what are your views on? Let's see here. What What are your views on drug war, for instance?
Ooh, uh,
Or
it
if
was
you if
lost
you
before it started. That's my view on it.
okay.
Uh, it makes the enemy drug users and the drugs themselves, and you've
Hmm,
lost before you even start with that, right?
okay.
Because you prosecute individual people who are victims of an addiction, who have a brain disorder, and don't really prosecute
Hmm,
the larger system in which it occurs, you know?
hmm.
So that's probably
Yeah,
not that big of a surprise, though,
the
is it?
audio's cutting out again.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, that was really a great answer too. Um, because Kristen doesn't give bad answers. She really doesn't. But don't tell her I said that. She can't. She can't hear us now anyway, so I can
She
talk
can't
bad
hear
about her.
us. She can't
Yeah.
hear us.
Yeah. So
I
she
can hear
can't.
you.
No. Shh.
Can you
Shh.
hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there what current challenges are you going through
Uh,
that you can talk about? I don't want to
we're
pry.
trying to potty train my child. Uh,
Hmm.
There's a
Okay.
challenge.
challenging.
Challenging. How old is your child?
He's 5. He's on the autism spectrum, so he is like he can speak, but he like has a lot of sensory things that he struggles with, and he's got part of it down, but then another part he doesn't quite have down yet. So we're working with him on that. He's about to start kindergarten. That's
Wow. Well, that. I mean, when you think about it, that's probably a really good mashup, though, of having somebody like Kristen Melinda. If you're, I realize that's probably really hard to deal with at times, and it's but
Yes.
still to have somebody who's like Kristen Melinda, that's probably a better match than a lot. Uh,
Ben, you say so many like kind, flattering things. I actually kind of like. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's being too nice to me.
have you ever been in a
You
cult?
know what it is? You know what he's doing? He's love bombing.
I'm love bombing you. I'm trying to start a cult. If you don't, if I can't start a cult, if you have one, we could join it.
Do I? Do I? I don't know. I don't think so.
Let's start one.
If I
Let's
do, no one's told me
So Kristen Melinda officially denies a cult. Okay,
officially.
officially, yes, yes.
Yeah,
She denies.
officially deny being a cult leader. I enjoy reading about cults.
Oh. Did you get the Tommy through A, Ron?
Yes.
Okay.
Right
us.
How'd you,
around. Sorry, go on.
I was just
Oh,
going to ask how did
me
you
too.
find? Oh,
Yeah.
how did you get to A, Ron? If I can ask.
I think so. I had been interested in Scientology and people coming out of Scientology for years, like since the infamous South Park episode. And I read about it and read a lot of memoirs and things like that. And then Leah Remini and the Aftermath came out.
Mm.
I couldn't get enough of that show. So I looked for them on YouTube. I found Mindfinder, and then I found Aaron, and then found Lightfoot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we still got a little bit of audio issue, but I think most of that came through. Oh man,
Yeah,
dang it!
maybe.
I was gonna ask you to do a duet too, but um,
Maybe.
Now, do you have the audio issue on your show? Because I'm the old person that's not able to stay up late enough to watch your show. Do you have the
Is that
audio
better,
issue?
y'all? Is that any better?
it does seem better.
For the
I think.
moment,
Audio,
it's okay.
audio, speak.
I think it. I think it's still choppy. Oh, that's a shame.
Mm.
Doggone it! I finally get Kristen Melinda on, and she connection issues. Not
Does,
she.
does she have issues like that on her show? Because, like I said,
No,
I don't
I
watch her show
I've
because
never
it's on
seen it.
so late.
Yeah, and I've never seen this pop up, but I think it's something to do with, it could maybe it's solar, maybe it's fire, who knows what, maybe it's
Right.
Microsoft.
So many
But yeah,
things going on in the
yeah,
world
she
right
normally when you have Chris and Melinda, normally the web straightens
now.
itself out for her. She just kind of waves her wand and it this excellent connection because it's Chris and Melinda.
Fire Rolling Stone, thank you for being here.
I really do. I tried to change the settings to change it to speakerphone, and I think I accidentally clicked out of this.
Oh, okay. That seems good. Um
I'm trying,
yeah.
you guys.
Okay, so favorite color.
Blue. Or
Okay.
purple. I like purple too.
If you could have one book on a desert island, what would it be?
One.
One. If you got one book on it, you're stranded on a desert island.
One. This is really hard.
I think I broke her. I
You
think
did.
she's ready to crack. I think she's ready to crack now. Now we can really start digging in. Yeah.
My favorite book is The Great Gatsby. So probably
Really?
that.
Wow. Nothing. Wow. I was hoping for something surface level that I don't understand, but okay, fine. Be that way. Oh,
That's a very cool book. I love that book.
I like a lot of different books. That's really a hard question for me. I wish I could bring like a cart of books with me.
mhm.
Wuthering Heights for me. I love Wuthering Heights.
I actually haven't read Wuthering Heights. I need to though. There's actually still a lot of classics I haven't read yet.
There's so many classics that I love. Just
Yeah.
so many.
So I'm kind of wondering, do you happen to see? I mean, this has popped up a few times. This is not that deep of a question, as most questions I think of will be. But I've noticed that when doing the paper or the show yesterday, that there really appeared to be a lot of differentiation. I'm trying to remember what the subject was, where psychologists didn't seem to agree. How often do you find that to be the case? I mean, just in general. I mean, not necessarily any specific subject. Is there a lot of that you've been exposed to, or
Fairly often.
okay?
Like most of my professors were PhDs, most of them. So,
Hmm.
and they have different research interests, different like areas of specialty. And so the more you get into your specialty, the more you kind of see everything through that lens,
Okay.
you know? So for that reason, there tends to be a pretty healthy amount of debate. And
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you mean like just in general or about like specific diagnoses or things
Sure.
like that, but there tends to be a pretty healthy amount of differences of opinion about what's the best way to do something and
Sure.
what exists versus what doesn't, you know.
Yeah, and I think the subject was entanglement. When I was digging into that I found that there was some marked differences of opinion, and it was just completely this is this. Or no, it was
Oh, enmeshment, when you were talking about
yeah,
that yesterday.
yeah. There were some papers I found that there was a little bit of disagreement on, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just try to take what's similar about these and talk about that and try to discard as much as I can the stuff that's being disagreed with.
When you were talking about enmeshment yesterday, I was listening to that, and I think about like what lines up with a DSM diagnosis because I have to, because that's what gets insurance to pay for things.
Yeah,
Probably the
Right.
closest DSM diagnosis to enmeshment that you were looking at would be dependent personality disorder.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah. That's a lot of the issues I run into is I don't know what the equivalent is. I'm not
Yeah.
well versed in what's in the DSM-5. So
Yeah.
so I'm kind of it's like okay, like psychopathy, is not in there. That's more antisocial in general.
This is the psychopathy
Without
that.
conscience, that was the very
Yeah.
I even quoted, or I don't know if I did, but yeah, that was one of the sources I meant to name.
Yeah.
Without conscience, yes.
He did the psychopathy checklist, and that's actually,
Oh, hair, yeah.
yeah, that's actually pretty solid.
Is that
From what
is
I
that
understand.
Robert? Is it
Yeah,
Robert Hare?
Robert B. Hare. Yeah.
Okay.
We studied him in psychology of the offender in undergrad, actually. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Psychology of the offender is a whole class, and all it is about is psychology of people who break the law,
Yeah.
offenders, so to speak. Um,
Interesting.
they might have changed the name since then, but
Oh,
I think sounds, I don't know, psychology of law breaking. I don't know.
oh, that is so interesting, though, because that was one of the things I ran into when I was looking at just looking, at psychology degrees. That most of the good classes seem to be post grad level, and it's like, really? Um,
UNT had some good undergrad ones. I
hmm,
enjoyed them anyway. I mean, I'm biased. That's where I went. But
hmm. Do you know their mascot?
the mascot of the University of North Texas is an eagle.
How
The
about your high school?
mean green eagles. Actually, my high school was an eagle too. Hey, that's funny. I just noticed that.
Some might
Yeah,
call that coincidence. Of course, we don't believe in coincidence.
yeah. We had
So
the Allen Eagles, and
Chris,
then yeah.
Kristen Melinda has something to do with eagles. Okay, that's her spirit animal. Okay, we've decided it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we're learning quite a bit about Kristen Melinda now. Um. So let's
To be
see.
continued.
Have you ever thought about starting a cult?
No, I don't think I'd be any good at it.
Oh,
I
I
would
mean,
be I might, I don't know. I would be too nice, right? Like
yeah.
I'd want everybody to be happy and have what they need and like get along and
But
um
that's more like a commune than a cult. That's
yeah, I could maybe do that.
yeah,
Chris,
But
commune.
I think I could do an okay job being like, I don't know, like maybe I could be the henchman to a cult leader. I don't know. I'm kidding. But I would want
yeah.
everybody, I don't know. I would I this is how I know that I don't have psychopathy is I would feel bad about taking advantage of people on purpose and hurting them.
Yeah.
That would
Oh,
follow me
I would
home.
do
That would
it.
keep me up at night. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
this is something interesting. I'll just ask you your opinion. Do you find that to be I don't know if we'd call it a prerequisite. Do you find that to be something common with most? Yes, I'll ask it this way. Do you think? Do you consider most cults to be run by narcissists?
I think they probably are.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know for sure. Like I haven't interviewed all of them,
Yeah.
but it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. Like I mean, you need to have a little bit of narcissistic traits to even try to do something like run a
Yeah.
cult. Like
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between like being a diagnosable narcissist and like
Mm,
having some narcissistic traits.
sure.
Like everybody has a little bit of
Sure.
narcissistic traits. Like,
We all
we're
do.
worried about what our hair looks like and stuff like that. But then you get too far over like I think to think you're like the second coming of God or something, you have to be you probably have to be somewhat of a narcissist.
Oh my, that hurts. That strikes right to the heart. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that is yeah, that's a very good point. That at times we have some everybody appears to have a few narcissistic traits. I mean, to some degree. Um, but yeah, that was something I've always wondered about, and that I never realized until I was reading Rick Ross, and he goes into cults slash narcissists
Yeah.
relationships. So yeah, he treats them like one and the same, and it's like, okay, I guess from the point of a deprogrammer, it probably
I mean,
is, I suppose.
the way that cults tend to rope people in,
Mhm.
like with, the love bombing thing, like,
Yeah,
that's also a technique that a person with narcissistic personality disorder might use in the beginning stages of a relationship. So,
Yeah.
if you think about it, it's kind of like just applying that to a group of people. And I think probably the closer you are to someone with that disorder, the more you start to behave like them, because because you probably, everybody has their own little narcissistic traits, right? And if you're around someone who has a lot of them, yours are probably going to come out more because that's who you're hanging
Janet,
around with.
yeah,
Janet.
So I think cult leaders tend to be narcissists who encourage their lieutenants to be narcissists who then help them take advantage of people,
sure,
if that makes sense.
sure. Okay. Oh, is there anything you've had your mind changed on recently?
Ooh.
It's
Hmm.
psychologically or even
Hmm.
not. Is there anything like you thought, okay, that might be woo woo, or you know, I don't know. I do find myself doing that. That's the reason why I ask. I find myself changing my mind. It's like, okay, I can see another side to this. Do you find that much with maybe your practice or
I
maybe some
think
research?
when I first read about TMS, I thought it seemed pretty woo woo. I thought, like, why don't you just stick a refrigerator magnet to your head? Like, the idea of like putting magnets on your
Yeah.
head to get your brain to do something seemed
Mm,
kind of crazy to me.
It
Um,
sounds like it.
yeah, but there's some research that backs it up, and there's people that like genuinely report that it made a big difference for them, that like they feel a lot better, they're able to function afterwards.
mm.
I have no way of knowing for sure how much of that is placebo and how much of that is
Oh yeah.
TMS, but I mean, I've kind of come around to thinking, well, that might not be entirely woo woo then, because
Mm,
studies do compare it to placebo. So
mm,
that's one example.
mm. And I was wondering, because you kind of broke up a lot the first time, can you give a? I hate to ask you. Well, no, I don't hate to ask you. I actually kind of enjoy asking you to repeat yourself, just because, um, because I'm manipulative like that. Um, can is there? Can we get you to your prior description of transdural magnetic? Can you go back through your description of it?
Sure, transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS. Basically, you sit under like a helmet or similar like apparatus that uses magnetic pulses to stimulate certain areas of the brain and get certain neurons firing and being more active than they previously. That's the whole theory behind it. It's the theory behind how it works, that it kind of wakes up certain parts of your brain. Um, it was first FDA approved for treatment resistant major depression, like in terms of behavioral health anyway, and then OCD. And
Mhm.
just recently, I saw it was FDA approved for smoking cessation too, which is interesting to me.
That's
I
interesting.
don't know, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Um, so it's at least most of my experience with it, like I said, I briefly worked for a psychiatrist who did it. She would refer her patients to it if they had had no success with medication or therapy. And then I also, when I worked for the insurance company, we would receive requests to authorize it. And of course, there's this whole laundry list of things that they have to have documented the person's tried already for insurance to pay for it.
Mm.
Usually, this many different medications from this many classes and this many and this many months of therapy and stuff like that too. So that's where most of my experience with it comes from.
Shannon, do you have a question for Kristen Melinda?
No, I can't think of anything right now. I think
What's
we've
your
covered just about most of my curiosity. Oh, well, there is one, I guess. Do you have an opinion on the new things such as ketamine and psilocybin in treatment for uh, I have depression and ketamine therapy's been recommended for me.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not covered by insurance and it is quite expensive. And psilocybin is not available in Florida. So I was just wondering if you had an opinion on that.
So I don't know anyone personally who's done it. I think we know Tara Smiling. I think she has experience with it. Maybe I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, she does.
She does.
Um, I know that there was a whole department of Johns Hopkins medicine that studied the use of hallucinogens in treatment of things like major depressive disorder, and so there's some legitimate backing for it. um I wouldn't make it the first thing I try before anything else. I don't think
Well, it never is. It's always when
yeah.
none of the other antidepressants have ever worked.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people who have had like amazing success with it. It's not for everybody though. Like, I don't know, for example, like I don't think that it would be for me because the one time I ever tried anything related to a hallucinogen, it was a terrible experience. So I don't think it would be for me. But there's some people that report basically it allows them to kind of almost like a brain reset in a way. I think the theory behind how it works is very similar to why ECT is supposed to work, electroconvulsive therapy. Um,
Oh,
it
right.
kind of resets and kind of allows you to come to an understanding about things in a different way. It allows you to kind of get out of whatever thought patterns you already had like worn in that's hard to break out of. That's what people have reported. That's the theory behind it. Full disclosure, I don't have a lot of like personal experience with it. I haven't tried it myself. I'm not trained to guide people through it or anything like that. Um, I mean, I think it's worth looking into more. I mean, it's worth looking into like pros and cons and potential side effects,
Sure.
um, especially if your insurance doesn't cover it, because then that's pretty expensive.
But I think it's still considered experimental. Um, like everything else would be covered, like the therapy and everything, but the cost
Mhm.
of the medication, which is quite expensive, is not covered.
Okay, the actual ketamine itself. So there's two ways I've seen that they'll do it. Is one method is you go into an office and they administer it. You stay there in a chair.
That's
You
what
have
that is.
somebody,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And there's another version that's called S-ketamine, and that's basically a nasal spray, and that's like a lower dose. I'm not sure how that one works, but that one, the company I used to work for, the marketplace insurance that they had, they covered that. Um, so some insurance covers some forms of ketamine therapy.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that there's still not enough behind it for everybody to want to cover it.
That is
Here's a question though. You're in Texas. Does Texas do psilocybin or ketamine yet?
There is ketamine assisted therapy here. Um, there's actually there's actually a clinic that does ketamine assisted therapy in the same strip mall as my son's speech and occupational therapy office. Like it's literally a couple doors down.
wow,
Oh, okay.
and
You do
it's
have to have people drive you home from that. That's one thing. You can't drive home.
Oh,
Like
good to
I had a client that was interested in doing it, but they said I can't do it because I don't have anyone to drive me home.
know. Yeah,
I
makes it
find
hard.
I find your terminology interesting because that was almost word for word, uh, especially with in regards to psilocybin. Uh, what was said? I mean, it's like you have. I think the example they brought up was like ski tracks. You've gone down this. So many people have gone down this track so often, your skis will kind of fall into it, and that psilocybin allows a reset, which is just yeah, it sounds really interesting. I don't know what it would be like, and Do you get much into neuroplasticity, or
Mm.
are you as far as, do you have any things that you're into with that?
Well, in
Any
terms of like, how do you mean like neuroplasticity being like that's
um
the concept that your brain can grow and change and adapt,
yeah,
right?
is there anything that you find that you do for that, or
Oh, that helps my brain grow and change and adapt. For me, I have to keep learning new things. If I
mm,
don't keep learning, and I have
yeah,
to keep finding new challenges, and
yeah,
things can't ever get too easy for me. If um if things get too easy for me, I get stir crazy. I go nuts.
yeah,
If I don't have enough to occupy my brain, if I don't have new things to learn, new mountains to climb, that's what works for me. Like I need challenges.
yeah,
Um, Now, I think everybody needs some level of challenge, right? I think everybody does. How much you need is going to be totally individual to you, though, right? Like I think there's this mistaken idea that we would all like for everything to be just like smooth sailing and easy sunshine and roses, but that's actually not really what humans adapted for. Like we adapted to be able to like survive difficult things. And so there's a little bit of satisfaction from being able to do that. That's not to say that you should be like beating your head against a brick wall every day, but there's like an optimal amount of challenge for
yeah,
people, that's different depending on the person.
yeah.
Well, and that's
That's
probably true for everything. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
every muscle needs to be exercised.
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I find myself having to do the exact same thing. Very interesting. I did not expect. I don't know what I expected. I, but I mean, I was like, wow, this is something I can relate to you on.
Yeah.
Is having to learn new things on it. It's mighty unfortunate because right now it's very hard for me to read. With the uptick in ADHD, it gets really hard to read reference manuals, and that
I
is,
bet
happens
it
to
is.
be what I tended to order a lot of, because I want reference material. If I ever need, but yeah, it's just so hard. Like, oh man,
You know,
keep
you had
focus and
mentioned
everything.
that your focus is struggling lately, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do have ADHD. It's normally pretty easily controllable. It's just that right now I have a blood condition wherein, I think I've said this a few times. uh, my blood doesn't carry enough oxygen, and it
Yeah.
causes fatigue. And then, of course, there's something to do with fat cells uh,
I mean, your
blocking
brain needs
things.
oxygen. Like
Yeah,
that's what it is, right?
yeah, yeah,
How could you
yeah.
focus? Yeah.
And I have more fatigue, which upticks my ADHD. But I'm not saying this for pity, because I'm undergoing therapy for it, and basically the therapy for it is to have not lobotomy, but phlebotomy. It's very phlebotomistic. It's a phlebotomism.
Blood
So you
transfusion.
go in, yeah. So you go in for a constant phlebotom. You go and have blood draws.
Blood
Um,
stuff. Blood stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've
This
had
is
enough
going to
fun with
sound
the word
crazy.
phlebotomy.
This is going to sound crazy, and this is not medical advice. Disclaimer: I am not an MD. It's just a curiosity. But if part of it is that your blood doesn't carry enough oxygen, and that's probably affecting your focus, what if you just inhaled pure oxygen? Do you think that would help you focus better?
It's an interesting question. I just
There
don't know
was
how
a
long. I don't know how long it would last.
there was a trend back when I was in undergrad and college of oxygen bars.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember this?
I remember
You would
that.
just inhale flavored oxygen.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and our pilots on the airplanes are constantly sucking on that air condition,
Really?
on that oxygen in the cockpit, right?
Oh
Because
my gosh, Shannon,
when you
I
fly,
have
that's why you're tired, is because you don't get enough oxygen. So they
yeah,
just suck on that oxygen and they're fine.
I have a question for you, Shannon. Okay. So what is the nuttiest thing a passenger has ever done that you
Oh,
have
good
witnessed?
question. Good
I mean,
question.
recently, I mean,
Or just your
I mean,
favorite that you would share, that you would like to share?
the most recent one I think was a trip to Phoenix where a man in first class just got up, a really nice man, an elderly man, and just got up, whipped it up, and urinated right on on the floor, right in the cabin, and
No.
in the front of first class. And then he sat back down and went to sleep. And
Was he
My God.
inebriated?
but
Was he inebriated in some way?
I didn't appear to be. I mean, of course, we
Oh
don't know
no.
what medications he may have taken on the plane. He
Oh
did not,
no.
when he went to get off the plane, he wasn't, I mean, he was not slurring his words. He wasn't stumbling. He wasn't, as a matter of fact, the flight attendant that was working up there, she went and put a bunch of napkins around, er, whatever. And when he woke up for landing, he picked up the napkins and put them next to him on the seat. So he had no
I didn't
idea that he had done it.
So
He
Hmm.
had
he didn't
he had.
realize. I was gonna ask, how did you guys handle that? What did you do? Excuse me, sir. You'll have to clean this up.
I mean, the person that was working up there, she said, "What do I do? Should I have the police meet the flight?" And I'm like, I don't know. He's just kind of a nice old guy. I mean,
Not dangerous, but
what? Yeah, he might be on some sort of medication. What do we get? I mean, what do you do? What do you do? And actually, that happens quite frequently on the Haiti flights. And I'm like, so, are we gonna?
really, people
So
just
are we
pee
are we
in
gonna
the
say that?
aisle?
Well, and the Haiti flights that that's okay, but oh well, you're American, so you should know better. I don't know. Anyways, I
But
didn't want
wait,
to deal
wait.
with the paperwork,
It's
so I just.
it's common for people to get up and urinate in the aisle on the Haiti flights.
I don't know that it's common, but in Haiti, they just they don't. They. How do we even explain it? They're not even used to having septic tanks. They're not using. They're just not used to anything. And one of my first flights to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and this woman wearing a dress, really pretty. They dress beautiful. They're Sunday best, and they look beautiful. And she comes back and she goes to open the bathroom door, and it was locked. Someone was in there, and so she kind of held herself down there and said, "Pee pee," and next thing you know, whoosh, it
Oh
was
my
just like,
gosh.
and yeah, it's more, and like so, this guy was just an,
See,
an elderly guy that he didn't even remember what he had done.
so you
Uh,
thought that my job was rough working in a women's prison for a year. I don't think so. Nobody ever like just randomly peed on the floor in front of me. Ever.
Wow. I
you
would,
know, and if I had more time, I could come up with a lot of crazy stuff. But yeah, that happened fairly recently. I did a flight to Phoenix, and I'm like, maybe I won't fly to Phoenix anymore.
Maybe it's these Phoenix people. No offense, that was a joke, Phoenix.
I would like to specify something. I was not on that flight. Nobody can prove that was me. There's no records.
It was not Ben.
It was not Ben. Okay.
Wow, that is interesting. I'm really glad. I'm really glad the communication cleared up with Kristen too.
Yes, me too. Yeah, they made
Yeah,
it
So
so much better. Yeah.
I don't know what it was, you guys. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you.
it's not
That's
like
okay.
it's not like it's anything that you. It was just your aura. I mean, just blocking magnetic waves. I mean, you were talking about the whole brain thing.
And cranial magnetic stimulation, yeah.
Yeah.
My brain.
What's your favorite Chinese food?
Ooh. I have to think for a second. I haven't had Chinese food in a while. I
Hmm.
like orange chicken or honey sesame chicken. Um, those are my favorites. There's a restaurant near us that used to be really good, but they haven't been as good lately. But yeah, those are usually my go-tos. Honey
Hmm.
chicken and orange sesame chicken.
Hmm. Cool.
I like
Okay.
egg drop soup. I don't know if that's technically like that's
I
something you would
love
get.
egg drop soup.
Me too. I love it. It's so soothing.
You were popular in high school, weren't you?
Me? Uh, yes and no. Like, people knew who I was, I think, because I did theater and I was in plays and stuff like that. But I wasn't necessarily close with a lot of people,
Oh,
if that
okay.
makes any sense. Like, I had a small group of friends that I was close with, who I knew really well, who knew me really well. And like, and then besides that, I had like acquaintances, people. I don't get the impression that people disliked me, but they didn't necessarily like, you know, go out of their way to spend all their time with me either, if that makes any sense. I didn't feel popular, but
Hmm.
I didn't feel ostracized either, if that makes any
Okay.
sense.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So evidently, this was probably, given your reaction, probably a large school.
Oh yeah, my high school was huge. My graduating
Oh,
class was
oh,
956 kids.
jeez,
Wow, that's
So
huge.
gods.
yeah. So actually my high school was mildly famous for a little bit. So I went to Allen High School, which is in Allen, Texas. I don't live there anymore, so I'm not doxing myself. But um, one of the opening scenes of the documentary Bowling for Columbine, where they show like the kids in the high school walking through the metal detectors, that was my high school.
Hmm. Okay.
Now,
Youngest.
at that time that movie was made, I was younger. I was in like 6th or 7th grade. I didn't go there yet, but that's my high school.
You're the youngest child of your family, aren't you?
Nope, I'm the middle kid.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
I have an older brother who's 4.5 years older and a younger brother who's a year and a half younger.
Mm.
Oh, all boys.
Yeah, I have 2 brothers.
Okay. Oh, so that's wow. Oh my
Wow, that was,
gosh.
I don't know, was that like a sideways, like, well, oh, boys?
Well, it's just,
What are you
it's
trying
just
to say then?
I
I
can
can hang out with
imagine.
boys. Like, I get along with boys, so.
Okay, I can just envision a few battles going on in the Melinda household when she was a small little Kristen, um, before she had yet ascended to power. That yes, I can imagine. Yeah. So when are you taking ownership of Texas?
I thought I already owned it. I don't know,
Oh,
but
Yeah, I
nobody
thought
seems to
so
have told
too.
them.
I
Nobody
thought you
seems to
already
have
had the
told
deed.
them. I had to like pay for my car registration and everything. So I guess nobody's filled them in yet. I don't know.
wow. Okay.
But it would be a big state to own, right? I don't know. That would be a lot of responsibility. I don't
Hmm.
know if I want that.
HOT, hello.
Yes. Yes. I can't remember. Justice. Oh, come on. I know they're in the true crime. Mm. They do magnetic fishing. AJOT does magnetic fishing.
I
Uh,
remember that. I thought the
yes.
magnetic fishing was super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your favorite hobby, Kristen?
Oh gosh, I like to sing. Y'all know that. I like to sing. I like to read, and I like to do yoga.
Mm.
Yoga is my favorite
I love yoga.
like, me thing to do. You know,
I love
if I'm gonna go
yoga.
off and go do something by myself, it's
Sure.
yoga.
And this might be handy for any people who are empathically inclined. And uh, what do you do to get rid of? You're dealing with people, a lot of heavy issues, obviously, in your line of work. How do you decompress and just
Good
uh, you know
question.
how do you get rid of that, or how do you adapt to it?
Mm.
Great
So I have a
question.
commute, which helps me. That's funny. Most people don't like having a commute. In my job, I kind of like having one
Oh,
because I have time in the car to myself to kind of
mm,
wind down from the workday.
yeah.
Usually, I will listen to a podcast that doesn't have a whole lot to do with my work,
Mm,
something maybe kind of silly, or I will rock out in the car on the way home. Like, I'll do the car karaoke thing by myself, or I will catch
I
up
do
on some
that.
YouTube stuff. So that's kind of become my ritual lately. Is I use my commute home to kind of decompress a little bit,
mm,
and I use my commute in to like ramp up for the day, and
sure.
like I'll listen to like continuing ed podcasts and stuff like that.
Fellow Texan AJOT,
Oh,
American
American
Justice of
Justice of
Texas.
Texas.
American
Are
Justice
you
of
a
Texas.
Justice of Texas? So I don't own Texas. I guess American Justice of Texas knows that.
Well, well, yeah, could be one of your minions that you know. But that's really it was really interesting just to get your feedback on so much, and
This has
um,
been fun. Thank you guys.
I'm
Thank you.
glad the communications issues cleared up because yeah, it was like you were going into the like great answers, and it's like
Did
oh
it just look like I was just like my face was frozen, or was I
no
talking and it was like
It was
robot-y?
no, it was just very. You could barely hear. You could
Okay.
barely hear it, and
yeah
yeah, and there was a
Okay.
lag time before you would start speaking, and
yeah it was
so
like
it was difficult communication.
Okay.
yeah but yeah it
That's
cleared
okay.
up.
Mr. Little Human. I just saw that. Yeah, I actually hear him down the hallway. So my husband is being awesome. He's taken the lead right now, making the pizza and stuff like that. So, but I'm
Oh
sure he'll want assistance shortly.
well, before we leave, the really important question: what pizza toppings?
Pepperoni for sure.
Me
Really?
too.
Yeah. My favorite, like if I had all of my druthers, would be pepperoni with mushrooms and sausage, and sometimes anchovies. Sometimes I like anchovies on the pizza.
Really? Like little
Yeah,
foodies? Okay,
yeah.
I did not expect that.
Weird salty little fish.
But yet again, I mean, there's a lot that's non-conventional about Kristen Melinda. She keeps. Rumor has it she keeps a decapitated fish head in her office. So
I
yeah,
have seen that. I have seen the fish.
It's Herman. But he has a story. He belonged to my grandfather,
oh,
and now it's such a thing. I can't get rid of it. You know.
mm. Okay. I thought it was just something you found on the. Okay.
Nah, that was a fish my grandfather caught,
Oh,
and
okay.
he kept it like on a shelf in his closet. And when he passed away, my grandmother was cleaning out his closet. We were visiting and helping her. And I saw that and I said, "What is that? That's so cool." And she said, "Oh, I've been trying to get him to throw that away for years. He never would. Do you want it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And my parents just kind of shook their heads with me. Well, now Herman is mine.
I want to thank you so much for indulging me and asking about everything, Kristen, everything the mighty Kristen Melinda. It was very interesting to get to talk to you today.
Thanks
I
for having me on. It's been really fun. I like hanging
Thank
out
you
with you.
for allowing me to be a part of it too. Thank you.
well,
I have more questions for another day for Shannon about your job, because your job like really interests me, because
Okay, sure. It'd be my pleasure.
I appreciate what you do a lot, especially having had a child on a plane recently.
it really was an interesting point that came up. It's like you think of prison, like and
You
it's
think of
like and at least in this genre. Now I realize, of course, we're not talking full residency in prison and everything like that, but
Yeah, now there was a level of security and a mental
yeah,
health wing where people might have been doing that, but that's not where I spent most of my time.
yeah, and it was just that you know of Shannon having a much more amped up experience doing commercial flights than you had being a therapist in prison. Like,
Well, you kind of know what you're in for, like when you do
yeah,
my job. Like you know, you go in expecting a certain level of that. Like on a plane, people are supposed to be polite. People are supposed to behave.
Well, I don't know about that,
yeah,
but we
seriously.
hope, we wish, we pray. But
Yeah.
Thank you, Body Illusion, for dropping that link. There's a link to
Body
Kristen Melinda's.
illusion.
Here's a
Body
link for
Illusion
Kristen
is
Melinda's
an
channels.
awesome mod.
Go and show her some love, and yeah, she has very interesting podcasts. They are really interesting because the first I don't know what I call it podcast, but your nightly show. The first one I found was just so interesting, and it described what my brain was doing because you started off. I'm trying to remember what we were talking about, but it turned into can you teach hamsters to synchronize swim? And it's like this is this this is my home. I mean, like You mean you talk about going rabbit trails and all this other stuff, and like,
Well, I don't usually go in with a topic. I usually just go with whatever people are wanting to chat about. But
yeah,
so I probably won't stream tonight. So because I'll be, tagging in on Little Man, but probably will attempt to tomorrow night
okay.
if he cooperates. We give him his mud bath during the day, and he gets tired. And I'll try to stream tomorrow night.
Mud pack. I've been meaning to ask. I'm sorry to hold you, but this got
What
to
does that
find out
mean?
what is that about?
He loves to play in the backyard in the mud. Like that's
Oh,
his favorite. So it's really hot here right now. It's like in the 90s and upper. Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't know why. Arizona is hotter. But so in the backyard to make it tolerable, we let him play in the hose or the sprinkler. But he loves playing in the mud. That's his
okay.
favorite thing to do. He loves the texture of it. It's like sensory heaven for him. So he spends a bunch of time playing in the mud, tiring himself out. We give him a bath, and then he sleeps better. So that's what Seventh is asking about. Did he get his mud bath today?
Oh, Shannon, that's right. Our very own Shannon is starting a channel.
Yay! I'm already subscribed, Shannon.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So have
thank
I.
you, Kristen.
Oh, thank you so much for that body illusion. Thank you.
I
That.
love hearing your
Oh,
voice and seeing your face, Shannon, because I've been like interacting with you in chats for so long. It's so cool to like put like your handle with you, and I just love being able to do that.
Yes,
cool.
it's interesting when you can put a name with a face, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah,
Very
exactly.
Yeah. Well, yes. Thank you again, body illusion. Well, I want to thank everybody for showing up. Thank you for indulging me into this
Anytime,
nosy
anytime.
view of Kristen Melinda and Shannon. Thank
You're
you so
doing a good
much as
job with the
always
love
for
bombing. I'll come back anytime.
Shannon. Thank you so much for tag teaming Kristen Melinda because she's more than one person can handle. And yeah,
Yeah.
you guys all take care. I hope you all have a blessed day.
You
Bye.
Thank
too.
you guys. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Come on. Done. Sorry, this mic was